Right guys, welcome now to Tech Tuesday, your weekly look at everything to do with technology within golf. And the first thing to say is happy Masters after week. It was one of the best tournaments I can remember in recent memory. So happy for Sergio Garcia as well. And hopefully this really does get the golf season kicked off, because it feels like this winter has been so long in many respects. I mean, the weather outside is still cold here in the UK. We had one glorious day a couple of days ago, and then it's just returned back to normal. So fingers crossed, it is now starting. The year is beginning, because the golf year begins. No, the year begins. Cancel New Year's. It's after the Masters. So what I'm going to do is use this Tech Tuesday to respond to some questions that I've had over the last few weeks and some stuff that people are interested in. Now, the first thing we're going to cover is single length irons. Now, for people who don't know, I've been using single length irons for the last 2 to 3 months, and I've started to see some very interesting results. So first of all, I'm using the Cobra 1 length forged iron. Now, Cobra and 1 length irons are an interesting combination, because when they signed Bryson DeChambeau, they were really forced into releasing 1 length irons. Put it this way, if they didn't sign Bryson DeChambeau, would they have released 1 length irons? Absolutely not. So they have, well, I say absolutely not, but there's a high chance that they wouldn't have released 1 length irons. If anyone from Cobra wants to correct me on that, I would be more than willing to take it on the chin. But unless they sign Bryson, they really will not have produced 1 length irons. So I tried a few different 1 length irons out. So I tried the Sterling irons out, which are a little bit chunkier in the head design. Didn't really suit my eye, although they are good irons. Also had a quick go with the Adele irons, although I didn't have a full test with those. I also saw Bryson DeChambeau's old Adele irons, which are an absolutely incredible thing to behold. Grips as thick as like bottles, upright, heads as small as frogs. That's the smallest thing I could think of. Very small heads anyway. And then finally tried the Cobra 1 length irons when they were released. Now I'm using the Cobra 1 length forged because I like the way they look and I like the way that they feel. I also had a refit into the Cobra irons a few weeks ago and then got them sent through. So I'm using a slightly different spec, 2 degrees flat, heavier shafts to try and keep the flight of the ball down, especially with the shorter irons. And this really comes into play with a lot of people have been asking, am I going to stick with them? Is it worth it? And will high handicap golfers benefit from possibly using 1 length irons? Now, first of all, the concept behind 1 length irons is relatively simple. They're the same length, so I've got mine set to a 7 iron length, and that goes from pitching wedge all the way to 4, although you can also add some wedges into that as well, although I didn't like the way that they looked behind the ball, and I felt I didn't have control over the trajectory. If I gripped them at the full length and hit them full, I just felt it almost went up my left nostril, especially with the sound wedge. So I've opted to go from 9 to 4. They're all the same length as the 7 iron as said, and they are gapped differently in loft. Now, one of my big problems initially with the 1 length irons was the fact that I felt that when I hit them, especially the short irons, they just went so high, and then with the lower lofted irons, I could not really get them high enough to stop them and get them far enough as I wanted. But a change to the Dynamic Gold AMT shafts and the change in the lie angle to 2 degrees flat seemed to work wonders, and now I've got the height much more consistent. Now I got quite into the fitting, I got quite techie with it, but generally speaking, for higher handicap golfers, are the 1 length irons going to be suitable? Now here's what I'd say about 1 length irons and clubs in general. Never, ever write anything off until you've tried it. Now, I was skeptical about the 1 length irons, and I feel that I've been won round in some respects about using them, about playing with them, and actually getting comfortable with them. I feel that my setup now is a lot more consistent because I have to change less, and I feel that gives me more consistency over ball flight and in my overall game. Now, that might be just a perception thing, but it certainly seems that way on the course and in the testing that I've done. And yes, I might strike the ball more consistently than, say, a 24 handicapper, hopefully, on a good day. But there is no reason why a higher handicapper golfer can't benefit from using 1 length irons. And, you know, bear in mind the Sterling irons and some of the other Cobra irons, they are bigger in the head as well. You don't need to go for a bladed version. But here is where the problem lies, because normally what I would be saying is, guys, try them out, test them. But Cobra, for a start, has had a very low run on the amount of irons that they've produced. Now they're actually selling out quite quickly, so I think they may have to step up production. But in one hand, they must be thinking, well, if we do make a lot of these irons and they don't fly, then we are going to be stuck with a lot of dead product. So it's hard to actually get your hands on these one length irons. And then when you can get your hands on the one length iron, a lot of the demo clubs are the 7 iron, which is great, but you want to be trying the longer irons. Well, not longer because they're not actually longer. The irons with lower lofts, and you also want to be trying the irons with higher lofts, which are of the same length, to get a better idea of what you're actually going to be investing in. And the Sterling irons, as far as I'm aware, you can only buy online. If I'm wrong about that, please correct me, but certainly here in the UK, they're not available in retail outlets. So you won't really know what you're getting your hands on. And bear in mind, these clubs aren't cheap, especially the forged one length that I'm using. They are the price of a forged set of irons. I will do a more conclusive what's in the bag probably in a few weeks when everything's fully settled, because I might be getting some new wedges in there. I've already put a new 3-wood in there, which I'm testing out as well. So there will be one of those coming. However, what I would say is that if you are on the fence, at least about trying the one length irons, if you can get a hold of some, and please tweet Cobra, tweet Sterling, tweet Adele, try and get them to actually do some demo days with them. Try and get a hold of them in some way. Bear in mind, I can only really give my opinion on them, and my opinion is very positive, but you've got to try them out, you've got to test them, and there's that disconnect between the manufacturers and the consumers about actually allowing people to try them a little bit more. So get on Twitter, get in contact with them, try and get them out to some events. I think Cobra especially are going to be doing some more of that, but keep applying that pressure if you want to have a go. Now the second question that I want to answer again is something which has been absolutely hammered home in the last few weeks about people getting very excited about different golf balls on the market. Now we can talk about the new Kirkland Signature coming back and the ongoing dispute between Pro V1 and Costco about the legal rights to this ball, but it is something that is noted that when a new ball comes out, which is a challenger to Titleist, Titleists do get quite lawyer happy. And there's two ways to look at this. You can say that Titleists are just protecting their intellectual property if there is a problem, but critics have been saying that, you know what, maybe they're just trying to force and pressure other ball manufacturers which are encroaching on their territory. You know, they are still the leading premium ball. They're encroaching on their territory and they want to beat them back. And sometimes using lawyers isn't the nicest way to do that. So there are two sides to that story. But what I'm going to do is just list my favorite premium balls at this moment in time, and then also something which you guys should be paying attention to and something which I do want you guys to experiment with as well. Holding just like a random tea in my hand. So first of all, in order, my favourite premium balls that I've been using this year, Pro V1, still an absolutely fantastic ball, and I like the new balls that they brought out. The only issue with it is they're on a bit of a communication problem, because the Pro V1 this year spins less than the Pro V1X and goes a little bit further, while the Pro V1X launches a little bit higher and spins a little bit more. Why they've done it in that way, I'm not sure, but the Pro V1 is still an absolutely amazing ball, and that's the one I'm using at the moment in conjunction with my other favourite ball at the moment. Actually, that's a lie, I've got three favourite balls at the moment. But my other premium brand is the TaylorMade TP5. Now that's the only 5-layer ball currently being used on tour at the moment, I believe I'm right in saying, and I have to say, it is a really fantastic ball, but when we were over in Miami last year testing out the new M1, the new M2, they were excited obviously about the new M1, M2, but I think everyone knew that the differences in distance between last year's model, this year's model, they weren't great. You know, they were maybe slightly marginal ahead. I got fit into a new M1 and gained distance, but a lot of people who were just using the M2 against the new M2, the old M2 against the new M2, they really weren't seeing massive amounts of distance. But then all of a sudden, a large amount of the presentations that were being made to the press were all about the new ball. They were really hammering home about how good this new ball was. Obviously, they feel that they've got a product that they can push hard and that they can start to compete with Titleist with. And when you have players like Sergio, like Justin, all of a sudden coming up and finishing first and second in the Masters using this ball, they are really grabbing hold of this market and saying, listen, we have got a great product, we have got a great product. And I have to say, it is just as good as the Pro V, if not better. And I'm going to do a little bit more of a conclusive test with this, but it is a cracking ball. But the beauty of the premium ball market is that really at this moment, you've got those two which are my favourite just because of feel and performance-wise when I've played well with them on the course. But also up there at the moment, we've got the Strixon Z-Star, which is an incredible gallbladder. Got the Bridgestone, the B330, and the Chrome Soft. The Chrome Soft is probably my least favourite out of those five. There's something about the feel of it that I don't quite like. I can't quite put my finger on it because performance-wise, data-wise, it's right up there. It's still an absolutely amazing ball. And the Bridgestone is a great ball, but sometimes I feel there's that disconnect between Bridgestone and the mainstream golfer. It's almost seen as a last option, but it is a fantastic ball. So those are my favourites in order at this moment in time. But this is the year where I think we are going to see a big shift in consumer activity, and it is something which I would recommend people try. And that is the rise in Guerrilla golf ball brands. Now, for a while now, I've been trying to get a test done using these new Guerrilla brands who are trying to break onto the market and test them against the premium ball market as well. Unfortunately, I've been struggling a little bit with wrist injuries, which do reoccur after I hit a lot of balls, so it's just repetitive injury. Now I'm starting to feel a bit fitter, a little bit healthier. I will get those done. But in early testing, I have found some absolutely fantastic balls in this market. Now my favourite, by actually quite a long way from the ones I've actually hit, is the Nassau Quattro. Now the Nassau Quattro was sent through to me by some guys at Nassau, and then I was trying to find them, and for my life of me, I could not find these Nassau balls anywhere on sale. And finally, they've actually built a website which sells balls in the UK. Other people around the world have told me it is available in other countries, but this is the first time that UK will be able to get hold of it, and I'm not sure about the US. The website that they've built, I've got to be honest, guys, at Nassau, if you are watching, I would go on this website and I would not be impressed. It's using stock images of golf which have been about for a long time, and they've just kind of plonked the Nassau logo on a few balls. There's a driver on there which the hosel is coming away from the club head. It doesn't look good, guys, which is a real shame, because the Nassau Quattro is a fantastic ball. It is right up there, in my opinion, with the TP5 and the Pro V1. But if you were to go onto that website at the moment, you'd be like, well, I'm not sure I'd trust this. But there's an interesting thing with Nassau. So when Kirkland Signature came out last year, massive fanfare, premium golf ball, performing as good as the other balls when Costco was selling it. When you cut that ball open and you compared it to the Nassau Quattro, although they were different colours inside, the actual structure of the golf ball was identical. And this led a lot of people to say, well, Nassau are producing the Kirkland Signature. And now it seems that Nassau have gone, oh, crikey, you know, this is a good selling ball. We need to get it out to market a little bit better. And this appears to be the first step. Now, let me just check actually how much they are going for. Now, see, this is the issue. I'm trying to, Nassau, I'm trying to actually buy some golf balls here. Got onto the website. It gives me info about the ball. I try and buy it and it says page not found. Come on, let's sort this out. But in this Guerrilla Golf Round market, there are more balls on the horizon which are really challenging. So you've got the Snell My Tour ball, which I've got, which I'm going to test. We've also got the Vice balls, which I've got some of, but I'm going to test. If any guys from Vice are watching, please send me through some more to the Quest Golf Academy so I can have a proper comparison. I've also got some Volvic balls through, which I've not tried yet, and I've not tried before, which I'm looking forward to. And then I've also got some Forte balls, which have come over from Australia, which I'm going to chuck into this test as well. And you have this undercurrent of these manufacturers saying, you know what, we want a slice of this golf ball market, because let's face it, when you look at golf clubs, when you look at drivers, when you look at irons, how much is changing? How much performance benefits are people actually seeing? It is becoming dwindling in the amount of yardage being gained by drivers, and certainly when you see companies at the moment trying to sell their iron products, they're saying, well, you know what, these are the furthest irons ever, blah, 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 blah. They're cranking down lofts and reducing spin. That can only carry on for so long. No one is going to want a 15-degree 3-iron in a couple of years if it continues to go the same way. So all of a sudden the ball market is becoming really fierce, because let's face it, you can keep a driver for 4 or 5 years and really not notice much of a difference if you are fit into it correctly. You're not going to be able to keep a single golf ball for more than 3 rounds, generally speaking. I know people are going to go into the comments now saying, oh, I've had my ball for 18 rounds now, it's fantastic. Generally speaking, 3 rounds, then it will get scuffed up, or you're going to lose it. So if people are seeing the ball market and going, okay, let's do it. And without the Pro V1 and without their golf ball sales, Titleist and Cushionet, their parent company, they're not going to be the same animal. You know, they need that market dominance to keep on going. And other companies are after them. Other companies want a slice of that pie. And you owe it to yourself at this moment in time, with all these great brands out there, with all these great products actually being produced, test them, test them, test them, test them, test them. And I know that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks with these lesser known brands, with the premium balls, having a real test of them, having a good go with them, and then I will report back my findings. But I want you guys to report back your findings right now as well. Get down into the comments, let me know what you've tried, let me know what you've found, and I'm always interested. Also, let me know how you would like me to test these balls, because I think there's an argument for testing these balls on launch monitors, and I think there's an argument also for testing them on the course as well. So please let me know. Right guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Comment below, let me know what you think. Share this video around, like it, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you down here next time.